How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the stream. So right now what I'm doing is I'm installing an application that I have here in Python. It is a lightweight desktop application for downloading audio and video from YouTube and other media sites, built with custom tkinter and powered by YTDLP. So I am installing the dependencies for it. Run the application. So we're gonna type Python snag audio py. Let's see, get some error here. All right. Unsupported operand for you want to install the recommended Python extension, sure. All right, we got to install ffmpeg. It's already installed. Is it Python 3? Pip install, we've already done that. Git clone. Run the audio app. I followed all the steps in the README. Make this edit. Python 3.9.5 doesn't support the XY union syntax. It's added in 3.10. I created a Python virtual environment. You have Python 3.11 and 3.13 available. You need to recreate using one of them. Okay, so our existing virtual environment is using the wrong. 395. That's correct. Well, that's incorrect. Um, so let's go ahead and remove the environment. All right. And then we're going to create a new one, Python 3.11. Then we're going to activate it. Well, that's okay. It's currently active. It was already activated, but so now we're going to reinstall these dependencies.
Friday night, guys. 1 in the morning. The streets of Burbank here outside Miami Fitness. Another moment of life. Our lives, what we create, are made, and the decisions we make, on a moment-to-moment basis. Champions are never enough born into success. They're created, they're mature, they're focused.
And it looks like it's launching now. It was just a Python version that was incompatible.
Championship status.
All right, this is the Snag Audio application.
Do we get up early and go for a run? Do we hit the snooze button?
So what this basically does, it acts as any, if you've ever used like a YouTube to MP3 converter, this is basically what this does. So I'll use this to capture MP3 files from YouTube of certain kinds of YouTube videos that I may want to test out the the MP3 audio on this application. So this is just one tool I might explore a little bit during this series, but we are going to mainly be working on our Simulison product development during this series right now. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up a terminal. We're going to go into our developer directory, into Simulison, and launch CC demo. Okay. I've got my Perplexity assistant here. It's a good song. I like it. it could work well with certain audios. All right, so in our stream yesterday, I ended off with restructuring the architecture review document for Simulison. So I'm going to my GitHub, pulling up the Simulation repository, and pulling up that document here. Simulison is an iOS application built for simultaneous dual audio playback. A learning track layered over a music track with fully independent volume controls and track controls for each stream. The user builds a personal cue from a bundled library, and two streams play in sync so they can both be consumed at once. For the architecture map, I have the object graph, a list of the core managers, a list of the view models, a list of the models, the repositories that I'm using, the notification bus, and end-to-end data flow. I elaborate on some persistence aspects, file-based caches, and what is deliberately not persisted. Then I have a phase development plan. So in these next few implementations, what we'll be working on is including session continuity. Session continuity is one of the high value improvements for our users. Where we will implement changes to resume playback position for both tracks. We're going to include a learning track loop and play next mode for this first player card. See down here, I have implemented a loop feature in the next track toggle for the music card, but not here for this first card. So I want to use Claude here to refer to this architecture review documentation. I did have something I encountered yesterday, which is very important for consideration with regards to the business aspect. Oh, shit. Try writing test for, I don't want that. Okay, so I'm creating a pull request right now to modify the document, the architecture document. I just approved a pull request, but I don't see it actually doing anything. So, yeah, approve. I approve the pull request. Error. It looks like the file update step needs your approval. Once that act, once you approve that action, it will push, and then I'll open. Just confirm when you're ready, and I'll run it again. I am ready to approve the pull request. Please prompt me to approve it again. All right, I don't think the audio is working again, which is so weird. Just like decides it just stops. Just stops working. I don't know what to do about that. Properties. I can maybe go, can I right click on this? Properties. Uh, all right. So still no music coming through. Well, that's just annoying. So I'm just gonna kill the application and launch it again. How long does it take to generate a pull request that's already been generated? It should not be taking this long. Let's try it again. Just do it again, please. free, non-copyrighted audiobooks. YouTube. Audiobooks, YouTube for free. Let's see if there's any good ones on here. The Art of Kissing by Will Rossiter. The Fourth Dimension by Charles Howard. Livre Audio. Bolle de Suif. I don't know if I'm pronouncing any of that right. Thoughts Are Things, audiobook by Prentice Mulford. Here's what I'm looking at. Let's see. Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. That's an audiobook. The Anarchist. The Antichrist. Any
available to those who have mastered logical symbolism in a form offering the minimum of difficulty to the beginner. The utmost endeavor has been made to avoid dogmatism on such questions as are still open to serious doubt, and this endeavor has to some extent dominated the choice of topics considered. The beginnings of mathematical logic are less definitely known than its later portions, but are of at least equal philosophical interest. Much of what is set forth in the following chapters is not properly to be called philosophy, though the matters concerned were included in philosophy so long as no satisfactory science of them existed.
This is a very epic song, like super cinematic. It's going to be hard to get certain songs like this to go with audiobooks, but I think these kinds of songs could go well with podcasts. So let's check that out. We've got this song playing. Let's go to our library, go to music, learning, presentations. I think presentations really, where there's an audio file I feel like could go well. And that would be Eric Thomas, the Eric Thomas.
And the story is about a girl. But I dare you to fail in writing for a whole year to see if you can get to the end. I dare you to fail. I dare you to take that same.
All right, let's try starting from zero.
And the story is about, you guys have probably heard about this before. It was a young man who, he wanted to make a lot of money, and so he went to this guru, right? He told the guru, I want to be on the same level you are.
I think I screwed something up. I screwed something up, didn't I? Yeah, because now the audio is not coming through. Well, I'll be darned. Let's rebuild this instance of the application. Hopefully I can figure out why that's happening. All right. Let's go find our boy Eric Thomas in presentations. Eric Thomas, how bad
And
do
the
you
story
want?
is about, you guys have probably heard about this before. It was a young man who, he wanted to make a lot of money, and so he went to this guru, right? And he told the guru, I want to be on the same level you on. And so the guru said, if you want to be on the same
Same
level I'm
level.
on, I'll meet you
Oh.
tomorrow at the beach at 4 a.m. He like, the beach? I said, I want to make money. I don't want to swim. Guru said, if you want to make money, I'll meet you tomorrow, 4 a.m. So the young man got there at 4 a.m. He all ready to rock and roll, got on the suit, should have wore shorts. The old man grabs his hand and said, how bad do you want to be successful? He said, real bad. He said, walk on out in the water. So he walks out into the water. Watch this. When he walks out into the water, it goes waist deep. So he like, this guy crazy. Adrian, he's like, I want to make money. He got me out here swimming. I didn't ask to be a lifeguard. I want to make money. He got me in. So he said, come out a little further. Walked out a little further. Then he had it right around this area, the shoulder area. So this old man crazy. He making money, but he crazy. He said, come on out a little further. Came out a little.
That was all right. It worked well together. For a moment, there was like you heard that little cha-ching sound when he's like, I want to make money. And then it went cha-ching. So those are cool, like little moments that happen serendipitously. Um, Kind of is something that's not always repeatable, because I played it at a uh, certain part. Like I hit play on the Eric Thomas presentation, and then I waited a couple seconds, and then I pressed the hip hop track. So not everything in this is repeatable, which is either for better or for worse. I mean, I would like there to be that spontaneous aspect, like, but repeatability is, I think, going to serve a large purpose because if we cannot repeat the experiences, the listening experiences that we find the most enjoyable, um, then it may not be a successful application in the long run. And so I think identifying how to recreate um, experiences will offer a more sustainable product. So we've looked at some audiobook here, and we've played some music. I added a different kind of um, learning audio or spoken audio, because it doesn't always have to be learning audio. Somebody could want to listen to a book on something fictional, which is totally fine. But for the purpose of this application, it was primarily built for somebody who wants to continue their education, continue learning, while also listening to music in the background. So let's see how our pull request is doing. I've reached the point again where the next step will modify the repository contents and open the PR, but I need the updated full content file prepared before doing that. The request edit effects. Please proceed. Yeah, just go ahead and do that. All right, enjoy hip hop track number 3. I will return in just a few moments. But before I do that, you know what? No, it's fine. All right, let's check on that pull request. I didn't even approve it. Create pull request from phase 7, legal provider corrections to the branch. The PR description includes a full breakdown. So we have successfully completed the pull request. Let me verify that. Uh, Merge pull request. Let me see. Legal considerations. Documents why Spotify, Audible, Apple Music, and YouTube cannot be integrated. Lists which providers are confirmed safe for dual stream. Establishes standard rule. No provider may be added to available sources without confirming dual stream playback is within their permitted use. No changes to any playback logic or source files. See, the problem with that audio track is that there's some kind of lyric. There's someone talking. So some of the stuff is not really usable. It's just there to allow for me to perform some experiments and testing. All right, that's good. Let's confirm and merge the pull request. All right, we can delete that branch now that we've successfully merged it. Okay, very good. Now we can start working with Claude.
The nature of infinity and continuity, for example, belonged in former days to philosophy, but belongs now to math.
All right, phase 7. Let's take a look. Podcast integration. Well, what about, we really want to work with phase 4, I think, first. I don't really need to work on phase 7 right away. We do want to work on phase 4, I believe. It just makes sense to go chronologically. As the human in the loop, that is what I'm thinking is the best thing to do. Read document architecture review 2026 carefully before making any changes. It is the source of truth for this code base. I want to implement phase 4 in order. 4B, 4A, then 4C. Start with phase B only. And why is that? Phase 4B is learning track loop / play next mode. And then 4A, which is resume playback position for both tracks. Yeah, I suppose that's fine. All right, so we're going to work on phase B, or phase 4B first, then phase 4A, then 4C. 4C is persist volume levels in repeat modes. Volume and repeat mode reset to default on every launch. Okay. Phase 4B, learning track loop, play next mode. Add learning repeat mode enum mirror to the existing repeat mode. Place it in the same file. Add learning repeat mode to learning player state. All right. Whoa. Excuse me. Read document architecture, review, and implement phase 4B. So I'm not really sure how to integrate multiple agents at the moment. I definitely want to get to that kind of workflow where I have a front end and a back end and an orchestrator. It's something I'm looking into, but as far as just jumping right into it and doing it, I don't really feel comfortable because I feel prompted to want to understand exactly how I'm implementing the agent. And that's kind of how I'm pursuing the current development process that I have right now. And as I get more comfortable and familiar with this tool, I feel like I'll be more comfortable with increasing the amount of agents that I'm using. Do you want to make this edit? Yeah, so I remember someone saying that in a video where you just should toggle yes, always allow, and don't ask me for to continue to like prompt me to say yes. Language server for code intelligence. That's fine. Do you want to make this edit? Yes. Do you want me to make this edit? Yes. Now I'm starting to see why that was suggested. Okay, so right now we're modifying one of our source code files in view model. which is the dual audio player view model file. We're adding the repeat mode toggle button, which is this button right here. How bad do you want it? David Goggins. All right, we're having another issue, the same issue popping up, which is basically at some point my audio is not playing back in the stream from the simulator, which is bothering me. I don't know why it does that. Da 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 da. Advanced audio properties. macOS screen capture. Audio monitoring. Monitor only. Monitor. What if I do something like this, where I close the application? I'm trying to close the app. There we go. Boom. All right, now let's see. There we go. I'm gonna be careful because I don't know if any of these tracks that I've put in the local storage is gonna be flagged for copyright. So I'll run into that issue as they come. But most of the audio I'll be working with at some point will specifically be non-copyrighted. I wonder how people get views on their live streams. 'Cause I don't seem to be getting any views. But that's fine. I'm just gonna keep working on this. All right, let's rebuild.
Begins the interview with the devil. I have uncovered the secret code by which I can pick up your thoughts. I have come to ask you some very plain questions. I demand that you give me direct and truthful answers. Are you ready for the interview, Mr. Devil?
Yes, I am. But you must address me with more respect. During this interview, you will address me as Your Majesty.
By what right do you demand such royal respect?
You should know I control 98% of the people of your world. Do you not think that entitles me to rate as royalty?
Have you proof of your claim?
Yes, plenty of it.
Of what does your proof consist?
Of many things. If you want answers, you will address me as Your Majesty. Some things you will understand, some you will not. In order that you may get my point, I shall describe myself and correct the false notions people have of me and my place of abode.
That is a fine idea, Your Majesty. Start by telling me where you live, then describe your physical appearance.
My physical appearance. Why, my dear Mr. Earthbound, I have no physical body. I would be handicapped by such an encumbrance as those in which you earthbound creatures live. I consist of negative energy, and I live in the minds of people who fear me. I also occupy 1/2 of every atom of physical matter and every unit of mental.
All right, so one thing that I repeat over and over and over is that some of these songs and audio files are not going to go well together right away. That's why there's independent volume controls.
Perhaps you will better understand my nature if I tell you I am the negative portion of the atom.
Oh, I see what you are preparing to claim.
However, what I would like to do in the future is be able to modify each of those audio files as they're playing to synchronize better, to be more harmonious, which everyone can do with the independent volume controls. Just make some modifications so that you can either enjoy the music a little bit more or so that you can not be as distracted by the music and turn it down a little bit, which seems to be the case in this combination. We've got this ambient track playing over Napoleon Hill, Outwitting the Devil, and it's just a little bit too loud, the music. I mean, I've got the music down to 7%. So this music audio, the audio file is just naturally a lot louder.
You are laying the foundation to say that if it were not for you, there would be no world, no stars, no electrons, no atoms, no human beings, nothing. Is that correct?
True. Absolutely true.
Well, if you only occupy 1/2 of energy and matter, who occupies the other half?
The other half is occupied by my opposition.
Opposition? What do you mean?
All right, so just to make sure that this next episode is working, this feature, let's go into presentations or maybe audiobooks. Let's see if one of these. I don't think any of these have parts to it. Like this one says full audiobook, podcast, Jocko. It's episode 1, presentation. I'm not sure that any of these have a next episode, have the capacity to go to a next episode because they don't have any more than just one episode. So if we go to library, let's see. Yeah. So I can't really test that out right now, but we know it does work for the music. So if I go to next track, drag this to the end, it starts playing the next track, which is what we want it to do. If I were to do that for an existing audio file,
And the story is about, you
for
guys
the
have probably
first
heard
learning
about
card,
this before.
and I go to the end. It doesn't do anything. But if I hit loop, hit play.
And the story is about, you guys have...
So the loop part's working. All right, so now I think the next implementation will be phase 4A. Walk me through the process of creating a front end, back end, back end, and orchestrator agent. Walk me through the process of creating a front end, back end, and orchestrator agent. Ask me questions to gain a better understanding of the project that I would use these agents. A better understanding of the project for which I would use these agents. What kind of application are you building? Web application, internal business tool, AI powered product, API platform, developer platform. So I'm building a iOS mobile application using Swift UI. The application will be the front end has already been progress made, mostly on the front end, but the back end will need to be a lot of work needs to be done on the back end. What is the primary goal of this system? Process and analyze data, handle user requests end to end. The primary goal of the application is to be a simultaneous dual audio playback is to be a simultaneous dual track audio Where are you in the process? Have a design, spec, no code, existing code base to extend, prototyping. I have an existing code base. I have an existing code base. And would also like to explore architecture ideas. All right, no one in the chat. Still, we are at a very small user or viewer count. That's okay. We're just going to continue to do the work and see if we can pick up over time. Like literally, I have no traction yet, which is, to be expected. What backend work needs to be done? Can I check multiple things? Yes, I can. All right, let's see. User, auth, and accounts, audio streaming, playback API, content library catalog, subscription payments, all of those. Yeah. Where does the audio content come from? I suppose users could upload their own files. I want to be careful about that. Um, so third-party APIs, yes, but the thing is I can't use Spotify, Apple Music. I cannot use certain third-party APIs like Spotify, Apple Music, etc., due to legal restrictions such as legal restrictions. I cannot use certain third-party APIs like Spotify, such as their terms prohibit integrating their content with third-party media. The path forward is BYO. I think that means bring your own file BYO. What does BYO stand for? BYO meaning software. Bring your own. That's what I figured. BYO file import for user-owned DRM-free audiobooks. DRM-free meaning digital rights management. It refers to digital content such as video games, music, ebooks that lacks restrictive copy protection software. I need to be careful about that. I have a feeling. Need to be cautious about BYO. Open library. Open library slash LibriVox and direct licensed catalog served from Simulus and backend. Right, that should be pretty good. What is your backend stack preference? So this is a really, really good question. I guess I could ask you to recommend one, but what kind of backend stack should we use for this? Wow, what a question to ask. I mean, the best backend stacks in 2026 are heavily categorized by project needs, prioritizing AI integration capability, serverless edge deployment, and type safety. Choosing the right stack depends on whether you are building a rapid MVP, an AI native system, or scalable enterprise application. What about for a Swift UI based iOS application that streams audio? For Swift UI based iOS application that streams audio, your backend needs to prioritize low latency, efficient content delivery networks, real time connection handling, and seamless media chunking. The Golang high performance stack is the absolute best choice for this architectural use case, followed closely by the TypeScript Edge stack if you prefer a single ecosystem. Huh. What about Swift Vapor? That sounds interesting. I don't know too much about that. All right, so we've completed phase 4A. For B, all right. I'm not so sure I like this idea of going with Golang. Solid implementation. A few things worth noting before you validate. The position clear on manual track change is a smart addition that the doc didn't explicitly specify. Clearing save position when set current learning and set current music is called means a user who deliberately picks a different episode always starts fresh, exactly the right behavior. The inactive save is important. On iOS, apps often go inactive briefly before background during a phone call or a control center swipe. Saving on both ensures position is captured even if the app is killed. All right. So I am curious about. Here is a tangent question. What kind of backend stack would you suggest? What kind of backend stack would an expert backend developer suggest for our application? Am I getting any audio coming through? If I go to youtube.com, let's see, play this focus soundtrack. There we go. Given Simulus's specific needs, serving audio catalogs, hosting a direct license spoken word catalog, and eventually supporting per user queues, here's what an experienced backend developer would likely recommend. Runtime, Node.js, Fastify, or Go. Fastify if you want fast iteration with JavaScript familiarity. Go if you prioritize raw performance and low memory cost for a long-run audio API. Both are excellent for high-throughput streaming metadata APIs. Interesting. Okay, I guess it's gonna recommend one for us, which is fine. What should the AI agents actually do in this application? Recommend context pairing. The agents are supposed to help me build the app. What's your development comfort level? I haven't really thought about it. How soon do you need prototype backend running? Sure, a few weeks. The 3-agent architecture for Simulation. I'm looking for a theme. I want some kind of cool theme. All right. So we have successfully implemented phase 4A. Let's go ahead and run phase 4A, but first let's recap what phase 4A was all about. So let's go ahead and run a new instance. Where is my Xcode? All right, work through this checklist top to bottom before moving to 4C. All right, it's not launching. Yeah, let's try it again. You know, I forgot to push some of those changes to GitHub. David Taylor, who's this? All right, Simulism. All right, building a pile, 0 warnings. I think that's the case, right? Yep, 0 warnings. Play a learning track 30 seconds in, background the app, relaunch, episode resumes at 30 seconds. Okay, let's try that out. So, Art of War.
The Art of War by Sun Tzu. 1. Laying Plans. Sun Tzu said, "The art of war is of vital importance to the state. It is a matter of life and death, a road to either safety."
Darn it. It was playing just now, and then I heard it glitch in my headphones. And then I checked the OBS stream. This is so annoying. Why? It's so much easier to do on a touch screen. Yeah. Go away. All right. Pull this back up.
The Art of War by Sun Tzu. 1. Laying Plans. Sun Tzu said, "The art of war is of vital importance to the state. It is a matter of life and death, a road to either safety or to ruin. Hence it is a subject of inquiry which can on no account be neglected. The art of war, then, is governed by 5 constant factors, to be taken into account in one's deliberations when seeking to determine the conditions obtaining in the field. These are: 1. the moral law. 2. Heaven. 3. Earth. 4. The commander. 5. Method and discipline. The moral law causes people to be in complete accord with their ruler, so that they will follow him regardless of their lives, undismayed by any danger. Heaven signifies night and day, cold and heat, times and seasons. Earth comprises distances great and small, danger and security, open ground and narrow passes, and the chances of life and death. The commander stands for the virtues of wisdom, sincerity, benevolence, courage, and strictness. By method and discipline are to be understood the marshalling of the army in its proper subdivisions, the graduations of rank among the officers, the maintenance of roads by which supplies may reach the army, and the control of military expenditure. These 5 heads should be familiar to every general. He who knows them will be victorious. He who knows them not will fail. Therefore, in your deliberations, when seeking to determine the military conditions, let them be made the basis of a comparison, in this wise: which of the 2 sovereigns is imbued with the moral law? Which of the 2 generals has the most ability? With whom lies the advantages derived from heaven and earth? On which side is discipline most rigorously enforced? Which army is stronger? On which side are officers and men more highly trained? In which army is there the greater constancy in both reward and punishment?
All right, that's good news.
Be retained in command. The general that hearkens not to my counsel, nor acts upon it, will suffer.
So if you didn't catch what just happened there, I was able to close the app completely, like kill the process, and then relaunch the application. And whatever part of the audiobook I was at and whatever part of the song I was at persisted. So when I closed the app completely and then I reopened the app, those audio files persist in the time in which the app was closed. So this is great. It's a really nice user feature. If somebody is listening to The Art of War by Sun Tzu and they're in, like, the 45-minute mark, then if they close the app, then they open it again, it's going to persist at that state. Now, one of the things I'm thinking about as far as development goes is how long are these audio files going to be? How do I segment the audio files? Like if there's multiple chapters, because I think in this audiobook, there's multiple chapters all in this one file. But I've considered maybe making things segmented by chapter. So like if the audiobook The Art of War has X amount of chapters, then if chapter 1 is some time length and chapter 2 is also another time length, then that would be, what I guess I'm trying to elaborate on as far as not having all of the audiobook stored as one file, but having multiple audio files that collectively make up the entire audiobook. And that's just kind of me thinking out loud. All right, very good. So what's the next thing? Manual track change clears position. Resume a learning episode at 30 seconds, then manually select a different episode. It starts from 0, not 30 seconds. I can't select a different episode right now. I have to select a completely new book. So, but if I go back to The Art of War, everything just resets to 0. Edge cases, first launch, no save position. Both tracks load and prime at 0, no crash. Position saved at 0 Seek is skipped by the non-zero guard. Episode starts cleanly from the beginning. Track plays to completion in loop mode. Does not restore to end of file on next launch. Lock screen. After restore, lock screen scrubber position matches the restored and is reading the seeked position correctly. All right, we're ready for phase 4C. What does 4C consist of? Persist volume levels in repeat modes. Volume and repeat mode reset to default on every launch. Wire them to user defaults via app storage or new keys in user content manager. All right, let's go ahead and get that started.
What if I told you that you could go through your entire day without getting angry, frustrated, or bothered by anyone? What if I told you that the people who seem to push your buttons, the ones who trigger your worst reactions, could become completely powerless over your emotional state? Most people think anger and frustration are just natural reactions to difficult people and situations. They believe that when someone cuts them off in traffic, when their boss criticizes them unfairly, or when someone disrespects them, getting angry is inevitable. But they're wrong. The truth is, your emotional reactions are not controlled by other people. They're controlled by you. And once you understand the science behind emotional regulation and master the techniques I'm about to share with you, you'll never be at the mercy of other people's behavior again. By the end of this video, you'll have a complete system for maintaining emotional control in any situation. You'll understand why most people fail at emotional regulation, and you'll have the exact step-by-step process to stay calm, composed, and in control, no matter what anyone throws at you. Chapter 1. The 3 emotional traps that keep you reactive. Here's what most people don't understand about anger and frustration. It's not the situation that makes you angry. It's not the person that bothers you. It's the trap you fall into in your own mind. There are 3 deadly emotional traps that keep you reactive. And if you don't understand these traps, you'll remain at the mercy of every difficult person you encounter. The first trap is the personalization trap. This is when you take everything personally, when you interpret other people's actions as deliberate attacks on you. Someone cuts you off in traffic, and immediately you think they did it to disrespect you. Your colleague doesn't respond to your email quickly enough, and you assume they're ignoring you on purpose. Your friend cancels plans last minute, and you feel like they don't value your time. The personalization trap is devastating because it makes you the victim of everyone else's behavior. You're constantly scanning for signs that people are trying to hurt, disrespect, or dismiss you. And when your brain is looking for evidence that you're being attacked, it will find it everywhere. The reality is that most people's actions have absolutely nothing to do with you. That person who cut you off in traffic wasn't thinking about you at all. They were probably distracted, late for something important, or dealing with their own problems. Your colleague who didn't respond quickly might be overwhelmed with work, dealing with a family emergency, or simply prioritizing other tasks. When you fall into the personalization trap, you're essentially giving every person you encounter the power to control your emotional state. You're making their behavior about you when it almost never island. This trap keeps you in a constant state of defensiveness, always ready to be offended, always prepared to feel attacked. The second trap is the expectation trap. This is when you have rigid expectations about how people should behave, and you get angry or frustrated when they don't meet those expectations. You expect people to be on time, so you get furious when they're late. You expect people to be respectful, so you're outraged when they're rude. You expect people to think the way you think, so you're confused and annoyed when they don't. The expectation trap is particularly dangerous because it sets you up for constant disappointment. People are not going to behave the way you want them to behave. They're going to act according to their own values, priorities, and circumstances, not yours. When you have rigid expectations, you're essentially demanding that the world conform to your preferences. And when it doesn't, you suffer. Think about it this way. If you expect every person you meet to be kind, respectful, and considerate, you're going to be disappointed regularly. Some people are having bad days. Some people lack emotional intelligence. Some people have different cultural backgrounds or communication styles. Some people are dealing with stress, trauma, or personal problems that affect how they interact with others. When you release your expectations and accept that people are going to be exactly who they are, not who you want them to be, you free yourself from constant frustration. The third trap is the control trap. This is when you believe you can control or change other people's behavior through your emotional reactions. You think that if you get angry enough, people will realize they're wrong and change. You believe that if you express your frustration clearly enough, people will start behaving the way you want them to. The control trap is based on a fundamental misunderstanding of human psychology. People don't change because you're angry with them. In fact, they usually become more defensive and resistant when you react emotionally. Your anger doesn't teach them anything. Your frustration doesn't motivate them to improve. Your emotional reactions often make situations worse, not better.
Not better. All right. So we have completed phase 4C. So we are exploring a multi-agent structure for building this application. So the orchestrator agent will act as the project brain. It breaks down high-level goals into tasks and delegate those tasks to the right agent. For Simulison, it would accept goals like add, bring your own file import with local playback, and decompose them into front-end, back-end subtasks. Maintain shared context, your Swift UI conventions, API contracts, data models. Detect conflicts and resolve them before they reach code. Sequence work correctly. Define the API contracts first, and then build both sides in parallel. What it needs to know. Its system prompt context, app name, purpose, tech stack. Current state of the codebase, constraints, no Spotify, Apple Music, BYO is prototype only. License catalog is the production path. Definition of done for the prototype. Front end will be the Swift UI specialist, only touches the iOS layer. Key constraints to bake into this prompt. Do not make assumptions about backend behavior if an API endpoint or data shape is undefined. Surface it as a blocker rather than inventing a mock contract. Backend agent, server plus data layer specialist, owns API, storage, and business logic. Always emit and update an updated OpenAPI spec when an endpoint changes. Bring your own file. Import endpoints should be clearly marked as prototype only with comments. How they work together. You prompt the orchestrator, build the BOI file import feature. Orchestrator communicates to the backend agent, create post / upload endpoints, return track metadata, mark as prototype. Front end, build file, picker, UI, call, post / uploads, display, and library. Backend agent returns endpoint plus OpenAPI spec updates. Front end agent returns Swift UI view consuming that spec. Orchestrator validates contract match, delivers it to you. Recommended stack. Okay, so let's go ahead and validate phase 4, C. Let's rebuild the application. Just had to fix a warning using the Copilot in the integrated development environment. Relaunch. All right, so how do we validate this? Set learning volume to 30%, music to 70%, background, and relaunch. Both restore correctly. So let's try that.
This might mean excusing yourself from a conversation, taking a walk around the block, or simply changing your physical position. Movement helps metabolize the stress hormones that flood your system during emotional activation. The physical pause is particularly important in heated conversations or confrontational situations. When you feel your anger rising, when you notice yourself wanting to say something hurtful.
Okay, so the volume should persist as well. All right, that's good.
Hurtful or defensive, that's your cue to create physical space. You might say something like, I need a moment to think about this.
Repeat mode persistent. Set learning repeat to next episode, which it is. Set this to next. So let's relaunch the application. And both should be set on next. All right, so those are also persisting. Single relaunch correctly. Learning position, music position, learning volume, music volume, learning repeat mode, music repeat mode. Nothing clobbers anything else. All right, so everything seems to be working there. For certain edge cases, volume explicitly set to 0 restores to 0, not reset to 1. Corrupt unexpected raw value in user default for repeat mode falls back to default gracefully, no crash. All right. That's great. Getting some kind of error when I try to push it to the repository. The remote has a PR branch commit that we pushed earlier. Failed to push some references. Oh, I see. The remote has the PR branch commit that we pushed earlier. Just pull and then rebase. All right, that looks good. All right, I think that's going to be it for this evening. For phase 5, which is our next. That's what we will be working on next is phase 5, which will be editing the settings screen, which will be over here. Coming soon, as you can see. So I'll also be working on setting up a multi-agent system for front end, back end, and an orchestrator. So we'll continue working on that. All right. Thanks for watching.